Hey guys, what's up? It's Stacking Chairs, a youth ministry podcast all about serving in youth ministry. Whether it be youth group or youth camp, whatever God has you serving in, that's what we're talking about. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Balhamus. Guys, we are once again in the middle of camp. I am joined by my fellow host and director of the coast,
Kyle Gray. Josh, we are in camp.
We're in camp. So much so that we actually have a supervisor from camp joining us today on the episode.
Special guest, supervisor, tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and tell us...
Work area for the summer?
Oh, work area, yes. It's rapid fire.
And how's it going?
Okay, my name's Ana. I'm from Brazil, and I'm working on the media team.
Ana, say something to us in Portuguese.
Oi, tudo bem?
Oi, tudo bem?
Yeah.
I know what that says. How are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Bilingual.
I am.
Trilingual.
I am trilingual.
Yep.
I also make up my languages.
That's not good.
And he knows a little bit of Spanish too.
Yeah,
Enough to get in trouble.
Yeah. Just enough to get in jail. Don't worry.
Yikes.
Josh, I love summer camp. I love summer camp because it's just all right, get in and you just go and it's action.
And it's actionable. Episode 8, we talked about actionable, like how camp is actionable.
Hey, a little pause shout out because yesterday, Jason Lamb.
At the time of this recording, yesterday.
At the time of this recording, Jason Lamb shared that episode number 8, and I was I said, man, that's awesome. He's not even in episode 8.
No,
and he said, this is a big enough idea and big enough, I
right
just
in the
thought
middle
that
of
was
summer
cool.
camp. Yeah,
I actually wrote him. I was like, you do see that your second episode and the one with you and Deb. He's like, I'm going to get to that. I was like, oh,
okay,
sorry.
all right.
He said, breathe. Speaking of Josh, I thought we'd talk about in the action part of camp.
Yeah.
I thought we'd talk about breathing.
Yeah, and that's why we invited Ana today. Ana is a supervisor for an area of work. Word of Life Camp operates at such a scale that we actually have different work areas and different supervisors, all who are Bible Institute students. So they go to the Bible Institute, they get a fire hose of information on like how to serve and how to serve in camp, especially is a great way to learn there. But then at camp they get to put that into practice.
Well, and there's a couple different things that I love, and it's not right or wrong. Mm-hmm. It works for us.
Yeah.
I prefer this version because I know that there are some camps that you show up to camp and your counselor in the afternoon says, hey, I got to go run the waterfront. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I can't be your counselor, but if you come down to the water, I'll see you. Praise God, he has blessed us to the point where we have enough Bible Institute students where they can fall into a counselor with campers or a supervisor with a group of kids that we call camp crew, which is 14 to 18-year-olds. In fact, if you are a 14 to 18-year-old, number one, thanks for listening to our podcast. But number two, if you have a 14 to 18-year-old or know of a 14 or 18-year-old to serve at summer camp, they can come in on the climbing tower or on dish pit or in housekeeping.
Or media team.
Or media team.
Yeah, and there's real quick, there's actually scholarships available if you come as camp crew that you can use at the Bible Institute as well. So there's our big pitch right in the first 5 minutes.
There you go. Well, Ana, what is your heartbeat with these students? Is it just to learn media? Is it, well, you tell me so I don't say something and then you go, yes, that.
Well, the crew that comes, some of them know already some stuff from media, but some of them are learning and they want to learn more. So actually it's you come sometimes with the knowledge of what you're doing, but they don't know a lot of stuff too. So we all work together to build something and we learn with each other and
But then what else are you doing with these students?
What am I doing?
Well, there's girls on the team and there's guys on the team.
Yes.
Yeah. And for the girls, there you go.
Sorry, guys. Well, we do discipleship.
Wow.
Well, we have 2 supervisors, it's me and Josue. And then there's 2 boys and 2 girls working with us. Yeah. Then I'll do discipleship with the 2 girls, and then he'll do discipleship with the 2 boys.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do with the boys discipleship. I don't think it would be a good idea.
No.
But we do discipleship, and we talk about personal stuff, but we work together also in the office, so we're also together in the work area and
Well, and that I think kind of, like I joked before about takes us over to what we're going to talk about today. It's just this idea of even in the midst of ministry, even in the midst of busy ministry, even in the midst of whatever's going on in life, being important, the importance of rest.
Yeah.
And pausing. And so Ana, just that alone, we do a week in review video.
Yes.
We do
My Life Was Changed.
My Life Was Changed video. You guys are constantly working on social media posts, pictures, reels, all
Lives.
these different things. In fact, follow us. You can follow us at wordoflife.edu. No, that's the website.
It's Wool Coast.
Wool Coast. But what's the Bible Institute one?
Will be FL Campus.
Nice. And so you guys are putting that social media stuff. You are going. There's always something to take a picture of. There's always something to film. But in the midst of camp or ministry, why is it important to stop and make sure that we are building into the lives of the people that are serving?
Because it's their people too, like they have their struggles, they have like their needs. So it's important sometimes to just stop and rest, because our job in media team is basically like be in every event and film every event. And then after that, we have to edit all the stuff. So we kind of like work a big chunk of time, because we have to be in every event, but we have to edit after that, all those events. So it's important to stop because we need a rest sometimes too. You know?
So how do you intentionally put that time into, especially when there's so much to capture? I mean, I know I have a background in video as well. I mean, I still do video.
What?
Like,
I know.
No way.
I actually edit down these episodes even, if you didn't know. But I know how difficult it is to balance all that. How are you intentional about balancing the rest alongside with the workload when you're doing ministry?
Because both are important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we have like a big team, so we can like, okay, you can cover for this person.
Yeah.
We have like the supervisors who can cover up for them.
Well, define big.
Like it's 2 supervisors and then 4 camp crewers, and then we have Dylan on top of us.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So it's like we all work together.
Yeah.
And so actually today, one of our girls couldn't come to work because she wasn't feeling well.
Sure.
And then I was like, she really wanted to come because like she hates to miss work. She was like, no, I want to go. But I was like, girl, just take a break. Like you need a break. We have people that can cover for you what you need to do. So she actually resting right now, and we gave her the day off because you need a day off sometimes.
I was talking to one of our program guys who, kind of the same thing. He was going. And I said to him, I said, insert name here. I said, it's okay to rest. I said, honestly, can I just be, I said, the team has already done really, really well. The rest of the team said, honestly, they let him sleep in this morning.
Yeah.
And he said, I woke up and I was just like, man, I'm letting the rest of the team down, but I just feel wiped. And I see him walking down the road and I said, buddy, go rest. Your team, the team is doing good. You're doing all right. It's okay to do that. I think sometimes, whether it's because we feel like we're going to miss out, I think all of us have this massive case of FOMO,
Exactly.
Or we get this idea of the team can't function without me, or they won't be able to function well without me, which honestly, both those things can be kind of dangerous.
Yeah. And so there's 2 lessons there.
And Josh, you and I have been around long enough. You definitely longer than me,
No, that's not true.
I'm older. No, but like you and I have been around long enough. We've seen plenty of people burn out in ministry, quit ministry, be done with ministry, because I think sometimes we convince ourselves that like
we have to push.
We have to. Yeah. And I don't want to go as far as to say that people think that they're God's gift to ministry, but sometimes I think we run ourselves in such a way that if we don't do it, who will?
Yeah. And so there's a couple lessons there. One of which is we've both been around long enough that I'm sure we've seen ourselves run into that where we're like, oh man, I'm burning myself out and I'm pushing, the candle on both ends, and being intentional. How do you get around that? And I think there's a lesson in what you're talking about, and a lesson that we all need to learn, which is building in redundancy in our jobs, building in policy and practices to make sure that we have something in place to cover for when things don't go exactly as we plan. Yeah. And you guys having the team size that you do, some people might say, do you really need that many people? But Kyle has recognized, and the team here has recognized, like, hey, you know what? We have just the right amount that we can cover for each other. We put in things in place so that we're not always pushing deadlines. And I have seen, at least since I've been here, I've only been here 3 years, I have seen camp get better and better and better every year. Because every year, you and the people that are a part of this decision, like, learn and grow through it.
Well, and so I think it's important if we can... Let's pause, because I'd like to walk through a couple different things. Because just to sit here and say, hey, let's talk about rest can be very broad and very...
Just the whole time we just say, hey, are you resting? Rest.
Are you resting? So first of all, there's a purposeful, focused word in the word,
Yeah.
Selah.
Yeah.
That most times when I've heard people read Psalms or read different things, they skip it.
Yeah.
They don't say it, you know, and they don't even pause. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, here we go. And I'm like, no, there is a word in there. The word is Selah. It actually appears 74 times in the Word of God. It appears 71 times in the book of Psalms, and it appears 3 times in the book of Habakkuk.
Wow, that's a weird number just to randomly know. You didn't research that ahead of time?
That's
impressive.
I just felt that. No, I did. I looked it up.
Okay, I'll give you that one then.
Internet is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So is rest. But it means there is a break or a pause in the music. There is a pause for a couple different things. But then as I started to do some study, there's some different meanings that it has. And so as we just first and foremost to talk about the purpose of rest or the importance of rest. Yeah. Sometimes biblical scholars differ and argue, and this is why I think the Word of God is so beautiful, because it has one message, one heartbeat, but there are sometimes I look at it and I go, oh Lord, I've never seen it in that way before. Yeah. But sometimes it's very clearly the author wants you to pause to reflect on what you just read. Because let's just be transparent, or let's just be open. We rush through so much of life. Yeah. We got to get on to the next thing, right? I always joke around with people that are complaining, standing in line. I'm like, oh, I know it's horrible. You got to wait in line to go rush and wait in another line, right? Yeah. And sometimes I need to pause, and it's just good to reflect on the good, on the bad. And so, Josh, what's something over the past couple months that's just gone, that God has done really, really good, that you can just pause and breathe? And Josh, let me ask you right now, you got about 5 to 10 other things you could be doing right now, right? I actually am in the midst of a project that is huge, and I have some deadlines like this week, and I will be working on them tonight. Right. But we rest so that when we build up into these kind of things, that like we talked about, having a large group of people helps ensure that we're set when those times of, intense amount of work needs to be done and we need to cover for each other. The same thing is true about in our workload. Being intentional about taking time off when a big and busy season is coming up. Right. Or scheduling time afterward. So for me, the past couple months, to answer your question. I was like, you're going to answer my question. I didn't answer it. I'm going to go back to it. I was getting to it, yeah. So to answer your question, for me in the past couple months, the things I've been reflecting on actually is God's providence. And that has been something that has been so refreshing. So I'm working with a counselor right now who's helping me kind of just deal with some anxiety and some fear that I have in my own life, and helping me get a real good understanding of it. And so my time of reflection has been in the evenings when I'm reading through this book, and then also through scripture simultaneously, matching them together. My time of rest has actually just been in scripture, reflecting on the divine providence of God, and how every single thing I'm going through is something that God has intended for me to go through. And so there's, I just forgot the reference, but it talks about how God brings trials into our lives and then also pulls us up out of them. I think it's Psalm 51. I'll look it up later. Never mind. I don't want to say scripture that's not. But the point of the matter is that by spending this time in the Word, by having this moment of reflection, it has been a huge renewal in my life. And it's just been such an encouragement. And sometimes I think when we're rushing through and we don't pause, I can start to get focused on this one little moment. Anna, when is a time in your life where you've been rushing so much, all you do is pay attention to the bad, but you were able to stop and go, no, this right now is hard, but it's good. Is there a time in your life that you've had something like that ever happen?
Sure. I mean, summer camp is sometimes all about that. I'm sorry, but it is.
She just blanketed summer camp.
Wow.
No, it's because you have a lot to do and you have a lot of responsibilities, and then sometimes you feel like you have to be in everything, and you have to be on top of everything, and making sure everything is happening, everything is working, and you get frustrated sometimes because it's oh, this is not going as well as I wanted to, or something like that. So sometimes you just need to pause and be okay, let's look at the end. Okay, at the end, that God will help you, and then the results are gonna come. Sometimes you're just in the process and you're just looking at the process, being frustrated with that, but you just gotta chill sometimes.
You gotta chill sometimes.
Well, and it's I was, as you were talking, I was just sitting there thinking about quiet time. Yeah. How important quiet time is. And I would love to tell you that I've never been guilty of rushing through my quiet time, you know, whether it's so I can say that I did it, or I can check the checkbox, or I can, you know, look good so somebody can say, hey, did you do your quiet time? Yes, I did my quiet time. But honestly, that's the best question. Did you do your quiet time? Did you check the checkbox? Yes, I did it.
Yeah.
But when somebody looks at me and says, well, did you quiet your heart? And spend time in the Word and reflect on what God has for you? No, I didn't do that today. My wife the other day, she was trying to talk to me, and I was watching a video, and I know that none of you out there are guilty of this, but I, one time in my life, picked up the phone after she started the story.
Oh no.
And she goes, oh wait. And I said, no, I'm good. I'm not really watching it. She goes, no, I don't want to interrupt if something is important to you. And I, at first my soul was like, she's getting like, you know, feisty. No, she was absolutely in the right. And and she was like, but she was kind. And she just said, hey, and I think sometimes I need to do that with God. Not to say, okay, God, I'll wait. You're so busy. You're working at everybody. No, to say, hey, God, you want to meet with me right here in this moment. And just rest with me.
I've found that too. Like, so especially if you're always busy, I think this goes back into rest, to be intentional about rest. So if you're always busy, it's just like in that moment where you're on your phone. So like, for example, today I was working through some stuff and I'm writing up some budgets and some proposals and some contracts all simultaneously. And I'm trying to wrap my head around just this project. And as I'm doing so, I'm getting text messages from my wife saying like, hey, we're going to hang out with some friends tonight. And so I'm just like, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. And I'm just like responding quickly, but I'm not engaging in that conversation.
No.
So the same thing is true. Like if you are constantly keeping yourself busy and then you try and spend time in the Word and you're just making it that checkbox, then you're sitting down, you're getting it done, you're getting it out of the way. And yes, you did respond, or yes, you did read the message from the Lord.
Right.
But did you glean something from it? And so the same thing is true that if I go home tonight and I have a conversation with my wife for 30 minutes and we talk through, hey, what were you doing today? I'm like, oh man, I'm working on this project and it's really exciting. The same thing can be true about our relationship with God. And even take some of those busyness things and say, God, these are the things I'm going through. How can you help me with it? Lord, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Here's the praise that you deserve for giving me this opportunity. And then spending time in the Word to glean something from it is all part of rest.
And so sometimes in Psalms, the key or the goal, I think very clearly, is to reflect on the truth, to pause, silence everything else, and just to reflect on what you just read. There's other times I think that it's very clear. It's not to reflect on, but to rest in, which I think sometimes can be like, well, that's pretty much the same thing. No, it's to find my security in. You ever have somebody come in and they're really upset and they're freaking out. It's like that little kid that comes in and they're like, I, and you're like, it's okay. And okay. And you're like, all right, what happened? I fell down and hey, ma, and you're like, okay, this is a safe place. But like sometimes they're sitting there right in front of their mom. They know their mom's going to help them out. They know they're in the safest place. Or I've got some great people in my life that will come and sit down and talk. And I know I've been guilty of this, that like, they're like, hey, let's just talk. But I get up and I pace the floor and they're like, stop. Like, to rest in the security of the truth that God just gave us. And I mean, Josh, you've already said you struggle with anxiety.
Absolutely.
I don't know where you are. I know in the past couple of months, man, I've been like, okay, how's this going to work and what's going to happen and what's going to go on? But just that purpose of when I can just pause everything and just find myself almost nestled in this place. I think of Psalm 46. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though. And he talks about massive earth-shattering things that are totally outside of his control. And then at the end, he says, hey, be still. Well, when the earth and everything else around you is falling apart, the last thing I want to do is be still. Still. I don't know why I went, but to be still. Anna, how as a college student going through all these, you're going through your week, all these requirements, all these expectations, how do you find a place of security in the Lord and just to be able to breathe? How do you do that?
I mean, sometimes you just gotta stop and like go to the Bible and like read the Bible and like spend time in prayer sometimes. Like, because, okay, you have these people here, you can talk to them all in here, but sometimes you just need like your time with the Lord and like stop and be like, God, this is happening. I'm stressed about this. I have all these things that I have to do. And sometimes you feel like you don't have time, but like God, he said, like he gave us 24 hours. So like, we have time to do a lot of stuff, but it's good to like focus and spend the time in God's word.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you think about the idea of rest outside of like a context of like spending time in the Word? Like, do you think that there's space and time, and the importance of like resting in ways that are just trying to think of how to put this? Because I'm thinking, oh, you go out with friends, but that might not be your way of rest. Maybe you read a book, or that's not your way of rest. But like doing something that's just like something that you want to do. Do you find time for that? So Kyle, do you think that that's something that's just as important? Finding time for yourself for the things you enjoy?
Listen, I'm literally writing down a massive word.
I see it.
That to me is one of the most spiritual things you can do sometimes is go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, there are sometimes I look at somebody and they're like, everything's falling apart and it's wrong. And I got this, and I'm just like, you need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a word here that we call the power nap.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a power nap.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need a power shower. Sometimes.
There's a power shower.
Yeah, I just need to go
Here's
take
your
a shower.
time for the power shower hour. Oh, yeah. Listen, there's sometimes just a good, nice shower that you just, because nothing else, my phone, I can't answer my phone.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't do a task. I just got to get alone. And there's sometimes I break my own rule and I'll put on worship music. So I do have my phone, there, but it's just like, I'm just going to reflect.
Yeah.
Which honestly helps me do the last thing that I think sometimes he's asking us to do in Psalms is just to breathe, a literal stop in the music and to take a rest, to just breathe. Josh, Anna, when's the last time that you had no agenda? You just breathe.
I actually did it last night. Because here's the thing, I have been very intentional.
That was Josh and I high-fiving in the background.
Oh yeah, if you're not
only
watching.
listening.
Yeah. Anna, you want okay. There we go. Anna got it on it too. Nice. So I've been really intentional lately because I have been like stressing so much, but that also means of like doing nothing is also like not focusing on the things that you're not doing, I think. So like there's plenty of things at work to be thinking about and doing. And if I go and like rest, but I'm sitting there talking with my wife while I'm resting and I'm like, hey, this is going on right now, or hey, I'm talking about this issue that I'm having, and just constantly worrying about it. Am I actually resting?
Yeah.
And lately, last night I went and I just sat down. I actually sat at the dining table and just kind of like put my head down and then was just kind of like just sitting there listening to some music and was doing nothing. It was great.
And you bring up a good point. How many times do we think that resting means I go put something on Netflix?
Yeah. But all right, so here's the question then.
It depends, like on the person.
What's the definition? We haven't defined rest.
Oh, we haven't.
So that's fair. So let's define rest. What's rest?
Well, according to Google,
Webster Dictionary defines rest as the combining of two metals. Well, I think you're two metals, gold metals. No. That's not it?
No.
Oh, man. So if you got that reference, leave a comment below. So what's rest?
So rest defined is the cease of work or movement in order to relax, refresh, or recover strength. Or it also means to be placed or supported so as to stay in a specified position. That's the verb to rest.
Okay.
The noun is an instance or period of relaxing or ceasing to engage in strenuous or stressful activity. In music, it is an interval of silence of specified duration.
Yeah.
And so again, I think it's just kind of stopping.
So what if we define it in three ways then?
Define it, Josh. Give us 3 ways.
Give me this then.
Okay.
Or entertain me for a second.
Okay.
That's the first one. Entertain me for a second is the first version of rest. See what I did there?
I noticed that.
So imagine that there's 3 ideas of rest, and I haven't actually like worked through this. So we're gonna work through it together.
We're having a conversation.
We're having a conversation. If you listen to the podcast, we're just kind of shooting from the hip and just asking questions.
Yeah.
So if the first one's like entertainment, it's something that you enjoy doing, maybe with friends, maybe it's like a video game, or maybe it's something that you're doing in moderation, an appropriate amount of time, and resting in that way. The next one is a rest of like sleep. It is going and like, hey, I'm not staying up and playing video games just because I enjoy them until 2 a.m. because that's not rest anymore. I'm going intentionally resting my body and sleeping or taking a nap or something. And the third one is a biblical rest or a reformation of relationship, which the first one can be, but I'm talking about the last one being with the ultimate relationship, which is with God. And like, we are the bridegroom of Christ, and that relationship I understand entirely different now that I'm married. I understood differently before. I understand differently as a father. But in all those relationships and all my understandings of my relationship with God, I've always understood that it's a relationship.
Yeah.
I need to have some kind of connection, and that is a form of rest. Just as much as the first one, the entertainment could be, I guess, not entertainment, but like resting in the sense of like interacting with my wife, interacting with my daughter. That's a form of rest as well.
Well, and I think it's you know, on my day off here at camp, one of my favorite things to do is to go to the movie theater with my wife because again, I can't answer my phone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a conversation with somebody.
You're not on your phone in the movie theater?
No.
You follow that rule?
I do.
Wow. Good for you.
Is the projector still on? You know, it's just, but genuinely, there are times I go to a movie that I want to see and I will fall asleep in it. And can I tell you?
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's incredible.
You just did all 3 versions of resting.
I did. I spent time with my wife.
Yeah.
I rested, I slept, and I had something in. But there are definitely times. In fact, the other day, I went out with my wife for a date, and I was checking my phone, and she goes, "Hey, do you want to put your phone down?" And it wasn't because she was like, "Hey, you're supposed to be spending time with me." She just was like, "Hey, like you don't have to answer everybody right now."
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like you have to answer everybody when they ask you something that you have to answer it right away, or how do you deal with that, Anna?
Not gonna lie, I'm terrible at responding people. Like they
Like
send
you
me
just
messages.
don't respond?
Like I take like 3 days. I'm sorry, but
Anna
I'm
is
like,
the definition of I left you unread. So
I'm sorry, but sometimes like there are some messages that I have to respond right away, and like sometimes I'll be doing something else, like resting, like in my moment, I will like be like, oh, I have to answer this.
So here's a question. Do you think that generationally, different generations are better at rest than other generations? Like societally, like there's groups of people that are like, hey, like rest is part of what we do.
Well, I mean, in your culture, as well as in a lot of Spanish cultures, you guys have, well, in
As in Latin culture, there's
they call it the
siestas.
siesta.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
There's like taking a
businesses-
nap after like lunch.
Yeah,
or-
I'd say like businesses close down for a couple hours in some countries and cultures.
that's so crazy.
So it could be
I wish we
generational.
would did that.
But so here's the question then: is
They
like,
do that at some Word of Life camps
oh really?
overseas. Yeah, they have like a siesta.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Or maybe I did. I don't know. I wonder if they do that in the DR. I'll have to ask my father-in-law.
you should ask your father-in-law.
Yeah.
right now because we need an answer right now.
Call him.
I mean, in Word of Life Brazil, sometimes like on the kids camps,
Yeah.
we like after lunchtime, we'll be like, hey, you have an hour. Try to put your campers like to rest on bed.
See, that was me dropping my pen. But I think if that's the important, we all. And I don't think we need to do it. And I think if you're listening, you probably see it in your own life. You've seen it around. We see the negative effects when you don't rest.
Yes.
I get stressed out. I get short-tempered. I get impatient. I get impulsive. I end up making stupid decisions. And I say this all the time, sleepy people make stupid decisions.
Oh, that is absolutely true.
I already said it, but I get short-tempered with my family. I get short-tempered with my staff. I get short-tempered. Like I'm not, and even Jesus got away with his disciples to rest, but then also sometimes Jesus himself got away to rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we even talk about it that God more so in the Old Testament, but had that Sabbath day, right?
Yeah.
But I still think it's a New Testament principle of having rest. And those of us in ministry are the worst at it.
Absolutely. If you
Absolutely
don't know,
worst
we're
at
looking at you in the camera right now.
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Make sure whatever you're doing, whatever part of ministry you're in, that you're intentionally building in rest to it.
Honestly, can I throw out a challenge?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're listening or if you're watching, go to your spouse and say,
If you're married.
if you're married, if you're not, go to your best friend. No, but go to your spouse and say, do you think I actually rest?
That
And how do I act when I'm not resting?
Yeah. And spouses and best friends are the most, they will give you the most honest answer.
In fact,
is true.
if you really want to go to the nth degree, ask your spouse or best friend. I'm not talking about your best friend that's going to like coddle you and say, "Oh no, everything's great."
Are they really your best friend then?
Exactly.
There you go.
Ask them. Say, "Hey, what is one thing that I need to remove from my plate that I think is important, but it only causes stress and problems?"
That is a quite the challenge. I am too scared. I don't know if I
Josh
can
is
do
like,
it.
I won't take
I'm
it.
going to try. We'll see. Next episode, I might
Well, but what could be the effects?
Yeah.
Like think about the positive side. Like, and it's like people that here at camp on their day off, they go out and they run themselves ragged, and you need a day off from your day off. It's like people that, okay, here's my vacation. We have to fit everything in. And we're stressed out about it. And we got to go. Hey, we got to do all these things. And then I'm yelling at my kids because they're not doing the things I want to do. And then everything costs more money than I want it to cost. And then I need a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah. Well, the money thing, I can understand. I'm kind of frugal that way.
You are.
Yeah.
Sleep.
So the 3 pillars of rest, we'll call them that.
You said
patent pending.
And entertainment or doing something that's enjoyable.
Yeah, something you enjoy.
We won't say entertainment. We'll say enjoy.
Something you enjoy. So
Taking a shower.
Yeah.
Doing skincare.
Yeah.
All those stuff.
Skincare? Yeah, absolutely.
Face mask. You know what? We should have done this in face mask, and it would have been a little Easter egg for those of you that watch, because, by the way, you can watch this. Josh, where can they watch it?
You can watch it on Word of Life Fellowship's YouTube channel. The playlist is called Stacking Chairs, a youth ministry podcast. And so you can go and listen to all the episodes.
Oh, is that what this thing is called?
Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, and then the last one, of course, and I think is the most important, is spending intentional time in the Word, not time that you cut out, that you fit in the middle or squeeze in.
Right.
But if you're intentionally studying God's Word, I don't mean sitting down and reading a passage. I mean, if you sit down and study God's Word, like right now, I'm in the midst of studying God's providence, and I'm without exaggeration, it has been one of the most renewing times in my spiritual life. And not because I'm studying all the aspects of the things that I feel like I'm learning, but because I feel like I feel rejuvenated to the sense that I feel like I'm open to learning more from the Lord and in my circumstances. And here's the other thing, a plug. If you understand God's providence and you understand your relationship with God in salvation, it also helps you deal with a lot of these, even rest and anxiety and all those things. And
now let me put a caveat. Josh, you're not talking about spending time in the Word to prepare for your next message.
No. And I do have to do that as well. And that's upcoming. I'm preaching. Actually,
You're preaching again.
I'm preaching in a couple of weeks.
What?
Yeah, I'm actually preaching here. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, preaching for a camp group.
Nice. For a Sunday morning service?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, in July. So,
okay.
But I'm also spending time in the Word. Yeah, Kyle didn't know that. Look at
That's
that.
awesome.
He's good at delegating. That's why.
Listen, I usually say not my monkeys, not my circus, but they are my monkeys. and this is my circus. No, I love that. And so I think we find something that we enjoy, and it's okay to find rest in that. I think it's good to take some time to sleep. And then I think it's a good time to, like you said, to get in the Word and just kind of, get it into our lives, get away, build that margin in, protect that margin, find people that you're going to surround yourself with that's going to protect. You guys in the media department, you have to build a schedule, right?
Yeah.
And why do you build a schedule?
Because we cannot do everything at the same time. We have to.
Yeah.
And then when you build a schedule, you can realize, oh my goodness, I'm doing way too much. I'm not trusting my people. I'm not giving them that opportunity. There's 2 books I want to recommend that you grab. One book is called The Tyranny of the Urgent. And it's the idea of, I have to get this done right now. Like it's the most important thing. And I think so many of us live our lives under the tyranny of the urgent.
Yeah.
And the second book is by Andy Stanley. Again, Andy Stanley. Hey, listen, if you want to be on the podcast, we will gladly let you. Well, we'll see if we can fit you in. We'll see if we can fit you in. Seriously, Andy, appreciate it. In fact, I gave, I think, one of your quotes today. Personal commitments determine the direction I lead myself. The direction I lead myself determines the direction I lead others.
That's a good quote.
Which I think could go on in here of we reflect the leadership that is around us. So if you've got a leader that doesn't rest, you're not typically going to rest. If you have a mom and dad that didn't rest, you naturally probably don't rest. But Andy Stanley's book, Choosing to Cheat, it's a fantastic book where you every day you got to wake up and say, I'm going to cheat something and or someone.
Yeah.
So who am I going to cheat? What am I going to cheat?
Yeah. Well, good. We got a lot of truths. We got a lot of opportunity just to kind of talk through that.
I love how we talked about this was going to be like a shorter episode.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. We're on par for just our regular episode time, but we're going to move into small group. We invited Anna today because she has a unique perspective on rest because she's in the middle of camp.
Yes, she is.
And so I asked her at the beginning of the episode, hey, think of a story of something funny that just happened at camp. See if we can get people to laugh. And I gave her the opportunity. If she doesn't have something in mind, Kyle has one backed up. So Anna, do you have a funny story from camp so far this year?
Let me think. I don't know, actually.
That's okay. You want Kyle to go first? You can
Yeah, Kyle go first. Okay, you go first.
I'm actually going to flip the script. Josh, you told me a story yesterday of a person that was really sleepy.
Oh my word. Yeah. So
that's
one of the guys, our youth groups at camp. So guys, if you're listening, I'm going to tell a little story of you. One of our guys, bless his heart, was sitting next to me at the campfire, and he was trying so hard to pay attention. One of the guys fell asleep. We woke him up, but the kid beside me, I kind of just looked over at him and smiled at him, and he looked at me very slowly and kind of like looked through the top of his eyelids and just went, and then I tried not to laugh, but then he just looked and he said, "I'm so tired." And then he put his head back down, and I said, "It's okay, buddy." And I tried, you don't want to laugh at that moment. And then later in the night, we were talking about some, just how camp was going, and it was a very serious moment. And then he just said, "People keep knocking over their cups at dinner time." And I started laughing, and I had to apologize. Cause man, I know it was a serious moment and something that was frustrating, and I laughed. And so I felt bad, of course, but he was, you're going to be exhausted after a week of camp. You are going to be exhausted.
Oh, absolutely.
But on staff, you have to put in those things to make sure you stay rested.
So on the sweet side, some time ago, I met a mom at registration who had a daughter that was just struggling with anxiety, struggling with being here. It was kind of her first time. It was their first time here at camp.
Yeah.
And she said, I could switch her out with our other daughter. And I looked at her and I said, or you could let me have your older daughter stay here for free. She's like, well, she doesn't have any clothes. And I said, well, there's Walmart right down the road. There's Target right down the road. And she just starts weeping. And so all week long, I got to check in with these two girls. And at the end of the week, to have both of them say, it was hard, but it was so good. It rejuvenated my soul. It encouraged my soul. And I was like, that rejuvenated my soul. That encouraged my soul.
Yeah.
Their younger brother was here. He actually came the next week.
Oh, wow.
And so I saw them the next week at registration, and I joked with the older one. I said, hey, you want to stay? And she goes, no, I need to actually do my work. But it was good just to hear from that mom.
Yeah.
That camp for these two girls, it was a safe haven to step away, to process through some of the stuff that they were thinking about, to step out of the normal flow, and just for the Lord to encourage them.
Well, yeah, we believe in the ministry of camp, and we also believe in the importance of rest. Make sure that you are spending time in the Word.
That's right.
Make sure you're spending time with, and just an opportunity just to have a good time, and then make sure you take some time to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Which let me say this again. We've already talked to you about the Word of Life Bible Institute. Come for a year, but the Word of Life Retreat Center down here up in New York, Word of Life Pines, we've got retreat. Listen, for a while I joked around about calling this place the Oasis, because it ought to be a place that you can just kind of get away. If you're a pastor, we allow you to come here and stay here for a couple of days for free with your spouse, just to be able to get away and breathe. Yeah. And then if you're looking for something, the Word of Life Quiet Time would highly recommend that.
Yeah, spending time in the Word.
Just
you can find out more about the retreats on WOL.org. The retreat center down here I know is on Florida.WOL.org. I don't know the website for the Pines off the top of my head, but check it out on wool.org. You'll be able to find it there.
I believe it's WOL.is/Pines.
Oh, there you go. All right. So there you go. All right. Well, we've given our pitches at the beginning. We gave our pitch at the end. We do believe in the power of rest. We do believe in the ministry of camp. We believe in a lot of things today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need those things.
We believe that Anna was a great guest today, giving a fresh, young perspective.
I love it.
Thank you, guys.
Wow. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
She's so much younger. I'm very, very old.
Yeah, we actually go in progression of age. Older, younger.
Actually it is.
It's
mentally.
Not,
I know it's not.
Okay. All right. Catch you guys later.
Go stack those chairs.
Stack those chairs.